What's up, guys? It's Jake from Sanctum Squad. You would never have heard of us before because we're like sort of just new onto YouTube. The idea is that we're going to be bringing deck profiles, door videos, sort of card reaction reviews, I suppose, with new cards, especially the ones that give an immediate sort of feeling that they're going to be impactful on the metagame. A lot of this channel will be completely competitively orientated, so it's sort of trying like to be an educational sort of resource, I suppose, for you. And today we're going to go through a Plunder Patroll deck profile using Phantom Knights. We've been working on this deck as a sort of like team, I suppose, for the past 6 weeks since Eternity Code. There's a lot of cool synergies with the mix of Phantom Knights and Plunder Patrols, so I'll just take to the deck and sort of explain how it works. We're just going to talk about the Plunder Patrol monsters first. So we play 3 white, 3 gold, 3 blue, and just the 1 copy of the red. So I think white and gold are the most important, just because they're the ones that put a Plunder Patrol body on the field, even like from the graveyard basically. So like this one says that when it's sent from the field or the hand to the grave, it will summon a Plunder Patrol monster out the deck. Gold summons itself out the grave by sending any card from your hand to the grave. Bluebeard's a good extender. It can just summon itself as like whenever you control a Plunder Patrol monster, and it's got a cool Darkwood Dealings effect when it hits the grave from the hand or monster zone. And then Redbeard's sort of like the weird one where it doesn't actually have a good effect when it's sent from the field or the hand to the grave, and that's like, I think that's the problem with it. All it does is it equips itself to a Plunder Patrol monster. But it's important because this is the only one that you can summon off Whitebeard that tags out on your opponent's turn. So like you need to at least play 1. I think if I was to play Desires, which is very like possible for the future, I'd definitely play this at 2, just because I feel like you always should have 1 in your deck. So that's like all the Plunder monsters. And then for the Phantom Knight part, we play 2 copies of gloves, 2 cloak, and then 3 boots. So the idea with these cards is because the new Plunder cards, which is gold and blue, both of these have like a discard cost to activate their effect. Now Blackbeard's going to draw your card and gold will summon itself. So anytime that you discard a card like a Phantom Knight to activate this effect, you're going to go +1. So you're going to get either a free draw or a free summon, and then one of these is going to banish themselves to either to like search a card. So this one, for instance, searches Fogblade. This one can send either one, so this can also search Fogblade, and then this one can search either Boots if you can put it onto the field, or you can search a Shade Brigandine off either of these. So like they just give you a lot of sort of toolbox sort of feeling into your deck. Any one of these is also like a 1 card link to, which is pretty good for just when you have to go secondary general, because it means that you can just normal summon one of these, find yourself into a Cerberus or a Phoenix, discard a Plunder Patrol card, and then get into like a Blackbeard play. And then for the sort of generic sort of cards, I play 2 copies of Parallel Exceed. Seeing this card in multiples is like pretty well. Like first of all, it's really good because you can drop it at any point as soon as you summon a link monster, and then it summons another one out the deck. So like it's like a generic link, a rank 4, sorry. And that's obviously a big deal for Plunder Patrol because they have their own rank 4 monster. And then this card also gets you into a few little niche sort of like combos when you pair it with like a Phantom Knight or a like a Plunder Patrol monster. So it works with gold, gets blue can get you there, even red can get you there. But we are going to go through some bread and butter combos like later on in the video. The sort of like tech card is Gizmek Orochi. So the reason like this card comes up in certain like sort of bread and butter combos, but you also like this card is also just fine as sort of like a one-off in the deck, just because it's a free discard. At any point you can just summon this card out the Nibiru, like we main Nibiru, this card is an out to the Nibiru token. It's just for a free resource. It's also quite cool if you can get into sort of like a game state where you can target this with Blackbeard, because then that'll turn this into like a Moerk or a like Brann. You can then use that monster on your turn, and then on the following turn you can target the monster that it's equipped with the Blackbeard, and then this is going to fall off and go to the grave. So it's just another card which can just be used as like a meat shield or whatever. It's really good. 3 copies of Nibiru. I feel that you kind of have to play this card given the current environment with the needlefiber combo. It appears in like every deck basically. This card also has like specific synergy in this deck, because if you can activate this card while you have like one of the guys that tags out, so it's either white, red or Blackbeard, you can go effective this guy as chaining 1 and then chain Nibiru. And then so what's going to happen is it's going to tribute everything on the field. This will summon, and then this guy's going to resolve and then summon the guy from the extra deck anyway, and then because you've just given them a token you can go straight into Lys. So it gives you access to one of the better Plunder Patrol extra deck monsters at the same time as being sort of like a safety net against the combo decks. And then for other hand traps we play 2 copies of Ash Blossom and I'm trying 2 copies of Ghost Mourner. Ash Blossom is very generic standard. Hits a lot of cards, stops needlefiber, which is pretty important. And then I'm also trying this card. This card can very easily just be Veiler. You can just play Veilers if you have them. You don't really need to worry about this too much. I'm just trying it because I have them. But bear in mind that like it's not so much relevant at the minute because obviously people aren't playing in any tournaments. But this card can just randomly win you the game in time. So yeah, this card's really good. And then for the spells, so we play 3 copies of Shipyarrrd and 1 Terraforming. So this card's like broken. So what it is it's basically a Dragon Ravine for Plunder Patrols. So you discard any card and then search for any Plunder Patrol cards. Plunder Patrol card, sorry. And then if this card's in the graveyard, you can return a Plunder Patrol spell or trap in your spell and trap zone to your hand to return this to the field, like Babel, the Orcus card. So this card sort of like floats forever. It's really good, like even just to use as fodder to activate the effects of like Moerk and stuff like that. It just feels like you win the game a lot more comfortably and easier when you see this card as well. And for the additional spells, so we play 2 copies of Void Calamity, 1 Foolish and 1 Rota. So Foolish Burial is sort of the same as both of these cards in one. So it either gets you to a Phantom Knight or it gets you to a gold, which then obviously gets you into the Blackbeard plays. Rota is just the additional Phantom Knight. It doesn't make any sense not playing this card if you're playing Phantom Knights, because then you just cut one of them anyway to add in the Rota. And then we just try 2 copies of this card. So what this card says is you can discard a card and then send any Fiend monster from your deck to the grave. And so what you do with that is you preferably discard a Phantom Knight if you're fortunate enough to draw both together, and then you're going to send this card from your deck to the grave. This then will recur itself and then get you into a Blackbeard that way. Like if you haven't noticed yet, we're mainly just trying to make Blackbeard because that's how you win the game. So for the traps, we play 3 copies of Booty. So I was initially playing 3 of this because I actually think this card is like broken now that we have enough names to sort of support it. And then I realised that still any hand where you draw 2 of these, that can still just lose you the game on its own. You can search this at any point off Shipyarrrd or Moerk, and you try and make Moerk all the time, so you have a lot of access to the card. The only reason I'm playing 2 instead of 1 is because I don't want it to be the only plunder card that I have to discard, because then I lose access to it. And then the last of the traps are just 3 copies of Fogblade and 1 Shade Brigandine. So these are basically just the targets to search off the Phantom Knights. Shade comes up in a lot of the combos where you go through Parallel Exceed and stuff like that. And then Fogblade's just a good card going first or even going second, because you can actually set this, activate something like Blackbeard. If they then negate it, you can chain this to whatever's negating it, and then you get to play. So now we're just going to talk about the extra deck cards. So just 3 Blackbeard, 3 Moerk, 2 Lys and 1 Brann. So I think it just sort of goes without saying you don't really play 3 of an extra deck card unless 3 consistently comes up. Like Blackbeard, you'll go through 2 often free in a game. Moerk the same. Lys almost always comes up in 2s because if you can summon one, you typically summon the other. And then Brann is just sort of comes up against like the decks like Eldlik and other just sort of like miscellaneous back row decks. And then we just play 1 Dragite. This just negates spells and traps. It's also got like a removal effect while you're revealing top 5 cards of your deck. If you reveal Nibiru, you get to non-target bounce a card your opponent controls to the hand. And then we play 1 copy of Almiraj. Almiraj is sort of like key card in this deck, especially with the Phantom Knights. So you can send Goldhair to summon it, which obviously you then just revive it from the grave. Bluebeard is good to send because then you can just discard a PK or a Plunder monster, draw a card, and then it triggers whatever card you discarded. You can send any Phantom Knight to summon the Almiraj. And this comes up in a lot of the bread and butter combos as well that we're going to go through. And then we play 1 Knightmare Phoenix and 1 Knightmare Cerberus. Cerberus is here solely to deal with a big fat Nibiru token because unfortunately Moerk can't target tokens, it can only target effect monsters. Phoenix is here just for general utility, outs there can be only 1, stuff like that. And then the last 2 cards are 1 Union Carrier and 1 Link Spider. These are a little bit more weird as to why they're here, especially the Link Spider, so we're just going to go over these in the bread and butter combos with these cards. And then for the side deck, we play 3 copies of Artifact Sanctum, 1 Scythe and 1 Lancea. I basically just wanted a really solid card that I could side in any time that I got to choose to go first, and this is just what I picked. I think Scythe is really strong against pretty much every deck at the moment. Lancea is good as well because it you basically like negates like evenly and stuff like that. Obviously really good against Eldlik as well. And I just didn't want too many going first side deck cards. And then for the rest of it, it's just basically cards that let us break a board. So we play 3 Dark Ruler, 3 Twin Twisters, 2 Storm and 2 Evenly. So Dark Ruler is like probably just the best one in this format because it actually does its job. They can't like respond to it with monsters, so obviously that just gives you a clear path to break the board. Lightning Storm is sort of just like not as good because it's only like Lightning Storm is basically just a heavy storm. You will never like really side this in against a deck where you're just trying to deal with monsters. Like a lot of the time as well, your opponent's just going to play around it by putting the monsters in defense. So like yeah, this card's just mainly for the back row decks. Twin Twisters as well, just mainly for the back row decks. It's particularly good in this version as well because anytime you discard a Phantom Knight, it's just another like a +1. And this card is like the only deck with the only card within the whole deck that outs Mystic Mine. But just sort of like theoretically, I'm not sure how impactful Mystic Mine is going to be in this format. It's not very good against Eldlik. They can just simply out it with the Conquistador, I think it's called. And against the Adamancipator board, you're probably better off trying to actually stop that deck combo in than to try and Mystic Mine them. And then Evenly is just a generic card that you can throw in against any deck and hope that your opponent plays into it. So I'm just going to go over a few of the really just sort of simple combos. These aren't necessarily like extravagant or ideal boards that you're going to make, where it's just like boards that you can make using only 1 or 2 cards. So just with any single Phantom Knight, you can link this, like you normal summon it, you link it off, you make the Almiraj. You'll then banish the Phantom Knight to search for the Shade Brigandine. Set it, activate it. Because this is a normal monster, you can link this off to turn into Link Spider. And then because both of these 2 monsters are Cyberburst monsters, you can link those to a 4 Union Carrier, and then you can use Union Carrier to target itself and equip Gizmek Orochi. Obviously this is far from ideal of what you should be doing first turn, but in certain hands where you just draw a Phantom Knight and then like hand traps and traps, like it's just good that you can actually like do something like this, especially because this is quite hard to kill you through, especially when you've got like hand traps and stuff. If you've got Nibiru, then this is like perfectly fine. You can still win the game with it, because then you'll just Nibiru, and then you'll bring the Gizmek back. Gizmek will pop the token, and then you've got 5/450 damage on the board with just that. So obviously using the Plunder Patrols, everyone should obviously know the Goldenhair thing, where you just summon this, turn this into Almiraj, and then you discard a card to revive it. And this is where a lot of the synergy comes in with the Phantom Knights, because you can then discard any Phantom Knight to discard to summon the Goldenhair, and then you can use these two to link into the Blackbeard. And then you can use the boots to search for, well, you can use whatever Phantom Knight is in the grave to search for a card. Obviously it's ideal if it's boots or ragged gloves, because then that way you can always get to a Fogblade. So like, yeah, there's just a lot of like really simple combos. So again, any Phantom Knight with Parallel Exceed is pretty cool. So you can summon this, turn this into Almiraj. Exceed triggers, summons the other Exceed at the deck. Banish the cloak to search for the Shade Brigandine. You'll then set this, flip it. You can then do a number of things. You can either overlay these two for a Moerk, and then because these are two Cyberse monsters, you can go into Union Carrier, and then you can target the Moerk with the Union Carrier to stick a Plunder Patrol monster to it. So this is just this is basically the only way you can hard make a Brann that has an equip off like minimal cards. So I think it's just good utility to have. It's also important to note that with Parallel Exceed and like any monster that can turn into Almiraj, so even Ash Blossom, this can actually just get you to a Blackbeard just by doing the same thing. So you can summon this, turn it into Almiraj, drop the Exceed, summon Exceed, go into a Moerk, and then you can just link these two off to summon a Blackbeard. So you'll summon her, you'll link her off into Almiraj. That will then trigger the Parallel Exceed. The Exceed then summons another one out the deck, which I've lost. And then you can link these two away for Union Carrier. And then you can use Goldenhair to revive itself to make a Moerk. You can then use Carrier to target the Moerk and stick a Plunder Patrol monster to it. Typically I'll just like always go for this one, because this is the only one that's sort of like, this is the deadest one to draw after you've already got one in the grave. So it just thinks your deck of like worse cards, I suppose. And then you can use the boots to search for, or like whatever the Phantom Knight is to search for an appropriate card. Obviously you're always just trying to get to Fogblade. Okay, so that was our Phantom Knight Plunder Patrol deck list. Obviously it's subject to change over the next passing months, depending on how the format develops, depending on if we get a ban list. Highly doubt it with the coronavirus case, but we've got a lot of faith in this deck. So fingers crossed when we get events up and running again, we can see some sneaky tops with this deck. So if you like this deck profile, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching.